A goal is a target that hasn't happened yet. So how do you go from shifting from being someone that says that you're going to do something, right, to someone that actually does it? Now, I want you just to think about this for one moment and just be really brutally honest with yourself, because we all know what this is. Every single person here in some way, shape, or form has fallen victim to this thing where we say that we want to achieve something, whether it's an internal communication process or an external communication process. We say, I'm gonna do X. You say it to your wife, your girlfriend, or your friend, or whoever it is, and then you don't actually do it. So how do you shift from being someone that just says to being someone that does? Well, in order to do this, you need to understand the genuine mechanics behind goals. And to do this, I want to draw your attention to one of my favorite topics, which is nature. Now, in order to understand this, we're going to look at nature for one moment. And where me and my wife live, we live in nature. We've got a beautiful tree. It's a linden tree, a tilia tree. It's a very big tree. We've also got a tree that we use for firewood because we have a fire. But in order for a tree, there's my tree, to get to a place where you have a fire and there's a log with a fire coming out, various things need to happen. So this is what needs to take place. So we're just going to shift into a little bit of science here for a second. So bear with me. In order for this to happen, the tree needs to take in energy from the sun. It needs to take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and it needs to suck in water from the ground. And then what it does is it converts these fundamental three elements: energy from the sun, from the sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water, and it converts it into glucose, into sugar. And this is stored within the tree, and this allows the tree to grow. Now, what happens is the energy that it is taking in from the sun is being stored within the tree, right? It's being stored. Now, what happens with that energy? Well, two things. Well, actually, three things. It can either be eaten, right? So if it's a tree, for example, a goat might come and eat the leaf, and the energy that's been stored inside that leaf, that glucose, well, now it gives energy to the goat that's eaten that leaf. Or it might be that tree dies and it's decomposed and it gets eaten by fungi. Or it might be that I come along and chop it down and I use it for firewood. It might be decomposed and it might be used for firewood. But the point that I want to get across is this: is how do you get a lot of firewood? Well, if you want to get a large fire, you need a lot of wood. And if you want to get a lot of wood, you need a very big tree. If the tree is small, you're not going to get a lot of wood. And if you don't have a lot of wood, well, then you're going to have a very small fire. Now, me and my wife, we live on a hill. I'm going to show you something a bit personal now. This is during Christmas time, so please bear with me. We live on a hill and we bought some sleds. And we decided it was an impulse buy. And this is me turning the sled into a bit of a snowboard. So let me just show it to you. This is me going down. So I'm showing off a little bit now until this happens, and then I fell down. But the point is, it's just where we live. And so there's me, and I had to pull that sled up, and I went down again, pull the sled up, and I went up again. Now, what's the point here? And we'll circle back to the fire in a second. Here you've got a hill. Now, in order for you to go down the hill, you have to use energy to go up the hill. So if I want to go down the hill and I want it to be easy, right? And I go down the hill's easy, I sit on the sled and I fly down. I have to use energy, physical energy inside of my body to get up the hill. Now, the bigger the hill I want to go down, the more energy I need to use to get up the hill. Now, in science, this is called the first law of thermodynamics. It is called the law of energy conservation. Now, what does it mean? Well, it means this: energy in equals energy out, to keep it very, very, very simple. So what does this mean? Well, if you look at your life and you look at the different areas of your life, you look at your relationships, you look at your wealth, and you look at your health, and you sit down in January and you map out some outcomes that you would like to see. Your outcome is your energy out, right? That's how big your fire, how big a fire you want to get, right? How healthy do you want to be? How much wealth do you want to have? How many friends do you want to have? Now, the law of nature dictates that, and this is something that cannot be avoided, is that in order for you to get that output, that energy, you have to put the energy in. In order for me to get a tree, we have acacia trees, amazing firewood. Now, in order to get an acacia tree that's suitable for firewood, it's going to take around 15 to 20 years. So in order for me to blast through some fire in the span of a few days, it takes 15 years to grow a tree. Now, what I see often is that we create these goals for ourselves that are so disproportionate, and we're not conscious of the energy it will take to actually achieve those goals. The first mechanism that I want to reinforce today as we enter into 2025 is that whatever goal that you have will be dictated by your input. If you want to achieve something, whether it's becoming a full-time trader, whether it's getting into real estate, whether it's building a six-figure trading account, I am not going to do that for you. Neither is Simon Pullen. There are many things that we do. I'll get to that in a second. But fundamentally, that goal will be dictated by the law of nature, the law of energy conservation, the first law of thermodynamics. The energy you give in is the energy you get out. You want a big fire? Well, you have to put a lot of firewood onto that fire. So I want you to think of your input. So what input do you need to be doing? 3 things. Focused. Make sure that your input is focused on the specific goal at hand. If you're in the academy, focus on projects and modules. Be diligent about that focus. If you're not in the academy, pick something and stick to it. If you try watering a million different trees, that water that you are, the energy that you're giving it, the water that you're giving to that tree will be spread amongst a million different trees. Focus on one tree and get that tree big so that you can have an amazing big fire on the back end of it.